My name is Joe Reichert. I'd like to welcome you back to another episode of the Sob Doctor. Today we're going to be fixing some HVAC issues, but it's not what you're expecting. You're expecting me to work on this. However, I got some parts in, but they're not for that. This is, I haven't even opened this yet, and I don't even know what it looks like. Oh, they didn't mess around with packaging this. Double wrap. This is an N19 module for a W163 Mercedes. We're going to replace this today. I've never done this before. Stay tuned. So 2 years ago when I bought the W163, the heater was kind of back and forth with working. It would work sometimes, and then wouldn't, and then would. And then it became summer and it was irrelevant. It was off because the AC don't work. So what then happened was the next winter came around and heat didn't work. I took to the Mercedes forums. They said, hey, there's this silver arm, and I'll put a picture right here. There's this silver arm, move the silver arm, not a big idea. Or move the silver arm, not a big deal, you'll get heat. Move the silver arm, that ended up being the air, the outside air flap. Because I disconnected it from the assembly, moved it around, nothing happened. So Logan, who you saw in my NG95 video, came over, we were kind of messing around with it. I could not get heat to work in this thing for the life of me. He grabbed a big long screwdriver, pushed on the actuator itself where it connects to the white gears, moved it, had heat, worked perfect until the battery died. When the battery died, the N19 module went and recalibrated itself. So now all I have is cold air again, which is awesome because it's like 17 degrees Fahrenheit out, which is super warm. So I've been reading online. One guy said replace this N19 module. I bought a used one. It was $45 shipped to my door off of eBay. I think a new one's a couple $100. I want to just try this, see if it works. There's been a little bit of discussion on how to get it out. The picture in the Mercedes workshop manual pretty much shows the front of the dash taken off, or by dash I mean center stack. I have an aftermarket radio. That might be harder to do. One guy said to just remove the, not kick panel, I always call them kick panels, but the piece underneath the steering column, remove that, and I should be able to access it from there. So I'm going to start with that, see if I can even see it, and if not, then the center stack is coming out because I've got a new radio for the ML anyways that I probably won't put in this episode, but I'll do it in a later episode, and this will just help me get that aftermarket JVC unit out. So let's go. Let's start disassembling it. Okay, what I'm actually going to start out with is going to be the easiest part, and that's going to be removing this. I believe I can just take a plastic pry tool and just work gently around this edge. I really hope I didn't just break anything. But if I did, it really wouldn't surprise me, because it wouldn't be the first time I've broken something like this. But it really looks like it just came off nice and easy. Yeah. Geez, this radio wasn't very theft-proof. None of the tabs are bent up. Oops. Well. Where's my easy button? Because that was truly easy. Just pull that off, pull this off. And I'm just going to slide this radio the rest of the way out. Then, great news. It might be hard to see, but it's right underneath here. So what I'll do is I'll get the camera in closer. I'm going to remove these 4 screws first, because that'll make it a whole lot easier to take out. So let me just grab a socket quick. We'll figure out what size this is exactly. Huh. It's a 7/32, which means it's probably a 5.5. I don't have a 5.5. But I'll just use this 7/32. It's funny, I actually just got through using this on my 2011 95 for some HVAC stuff. 2. Oh, there isn't a fourth one. I thought there was a fourth one down here. I was wrong. 1, 2, and 3. All right. So that is all. I guess you can't really call it out of the way, but now we can see the Denso box in there. And there it is. Alright, now on the back there's just one little push button. Just push that and then pull this right off of there. Should be pretty easy to do. Interestingly enough, this one's actually fighting me pretty good here. The biggest thing is I don't want to break this tab off, which might be hard to see. I don't want to break this tab off, because that is part of the connector, not part of the unit itself. So, there we go. There we go. It just took some extra pushing to get it out. So, alright, this is pulled out. This is all pulled out. We can grab our new one, put it in. One thing that I want to check is I want to make sure that the part numbers are the same before I replace it. And we'll see if the new one works. One other thing I want to note is if you ever find wire nuts in your dash, you know that somebody who is a hack was doing wiring in here. Oh, I'm gonna have to clean all that up. Oh, this is nice. Oh yeah, that's gonna be some cleaning up when I do the new radio. That'll be fun. But let's get this done first. Let's get some heat back in here. Alright, they are the exact same module. They have the same part number. This is the one that I just bought. So we're going to take this one and put it in. Let's hope it works. Alright, so first thing we do, just take this, plug it back in, move all your wires out of the way, push this back up against, people keep saying it's on the firewall and it's not. Push that back up against there, which is probably the back of maybe the heater box. Then grab your screw, right. Oops. Actually, what you may want to do before doing that is take this, line your screw up so you don't just drop it in there, because I could picture that going into the abyss. Alright, do that. Take her, tighten her down, because we are going to hope that everything is right, that this one works, because it was tested good when I bought it off eBay. And then, oh goodness, we are really going to have to do some wiring cleanup in here. I mean, there's a random box, FM transmitter, and all this extra wiring. I'll do all that when we do the radio. So okay, next up, sorry I got rambling there for a second. Next up, we'll plug the HVAC all back in. So don't forget both the black and the blue plug. Make sure those are plugged in, seated correctly. Alright. You can take that, line it back up, put your 3 screws back. Now, one note, since this is plastic, and this is kind of old and brittle plastic, do not just take these, crank them all the way down, cross your fingers, hope they're good to go. Take them and kind of, you know, gently put them back in, line everything up before you take it and ratchet it down, because the last thing you want to do is break this climate control. Because then you got to go out, you got to find another climate control. Well, you know the rest of that story. There's nothing fun about it. And then just take them and snug them, because you don't have to put all of the effort into them. That's why I'm using the thumb wheel. Alright. I'm going to take this piece. One thing I'm going to note is that the four-wheel drive low connector came off. So make sure if this connector or this hose comes off, or sorry, that's not four-wheel drive. Well, that goes to the four-wheel drive low and the fog lights. So make sure to get that plugged back in. So we're going to do that. This is a very, very short line. Oh, that's because that wasn't clipped in all the way. And just make sure that's all in. Take her, give her a push. And minus the fact that I left the radio out, she's good as new. So now this is going to be the moment of truth. Does it work or not? Alright, let's start her up and see. I hear noises. Alright. That is interesting. So this may actually take a second for it to warm up. So I'm actually just going to let this run for a few minutes, because I don't know if the ML itself is warm enough for it to have heat. Actually, let me grab my handy dandy test probe. Okay, so right now the heat coming out of it is 60 degrees Fahrenheit. We're going to let this cycle for a few minutes and we'll come back to it and see what it's at. We'll give her like 5 minutes or so for everything to warm up and then take a peek at it. Okay, so we're going to ignore that check engine light, but it's 23 degrees Fahrenheit out. That is set for full hot, and we're at 60 degrees. So it definitely didn't fix it. I have a feeling that the actuator is actually broken inside or something. I am going to let this run for a bit more. Okay, so now here is the plot twist. The air is 80, and I hit recirculate. So I turn recirculate off, and you can hear it change. And that might actually take a while to drop. But the air definitely gets cooler once that happens. Oh yeah, that's dropping already. You can see it drop. Hit recirculate. You can hear it. And you can watch that temperature creep right back up. That is really interesting, to be honest with you. Okay, so Columbo and I are about to leave for the vet, and it's at 100 degrees again. And, oh, Bo, you want to be in the video? Oh, there he is! So, we will see what it is after the vet. Okay, so two things happened on our drive. Number one, thermostat temperature dipped. So maybe this thing actually needs a new thermostat. Number two, this temperature, the temperature coming out of the vents went down by about 20 degrees. So it's coming out at 80 instead of 100. It was about 100 when we left. So, I mean, that's better than freezing because it's 26 out. At least I know it's working. So I think what I'll do first, and I, funny enough, have a thermostat in the shop from the previous owner. So he must have thought that it might have a thermostat problem too. And interestingly enough, we're sitting a little bit, I think that's just the camera position. It might be creeping up slowly as we sit too. Interestingly enough, because when we started off, I had it sitting, it was up about here. I bet it's got a failed thermostat. Yeah, the heat seems to be creeping up a little bit too as we sit. So, we'll do that. And Columbo back there, he just wants to get out. He just wants to go into the vet and see his vet friends. So we're going to go do that. And then another day I'll replace that thermostat. So I guess instead of an actuator video, we're going to have a thermostat video on this thing. Alright, so we've replaced the N19 module. The HVAC controls are actually working now, unlike before. Before, what they were doing was you couldn't actually hear anything in the dash making noise. So that's a good thing. Unfortunately, we don't have all of the heat. So I've driven it a few times now. It gets up somewhere between 60 and 80. Doesn't actually feel like heat is truly coming out. So kind of the next course of action is to change the thermostat and the temp sensor. Just want to do that. I have a thermostat. May as well just buy a temp sensor, get that out of the way. I was thinking that maybe the cabin air temp sensor is bad. I was looking at that, thinking about it, because you know you saw where we pulled the tube off of it in the video, so maybe that's actually bad. Last on the list is the actuator. And I really don't want to have to do the actuator because that involves taking most of the dash apart. So that's kind of where the ML is at right now. I have some heat, and some heat's better than none. But after all of the other projects are done, at least between now and the 9000, all of those projects, I'm going to try and sneak the ML back in before I start the 9000, so before the new year, just to try and get it finished, diagnosed. It is my winter beater, so a winter beater without heat is not fun. And a winter beater without hot heat sucks. I mean, at least it has heat. Thank you for watching. At least now you all know how to replace the N19 module. It is super easy. This is a good tutorial on it. If you have any questions, shoot me an email. Otherwise, all the social links are in the description below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And this is going to sound funny at the end of a Mercedes video, but sav on, folks.